transgender women, right? Keep competing against women who are born female. Agree or disagree? Yeah or no? Poop, what you think?
No. So one of the clips that you didn't include, there was an ESPN special where it was the opposite, where there's a woman that transitioned into a male or to a male and competed in track and excelled. But we know in that case, it's fine if she could compete, or he in this case could compete with the level of her peers, then there wasn't really any discrepancy. But when you're talking about a man, a biological man competing with women, it's not an equal playing field at all.
Why would I include that clip though?
No, I'm just saying that there's also the opposite where there's no dispute, right? Because we know, like, if you could compete on the level, if you were naturally born a woman and you can compete on the level of a man, we're just talking about transgender people and as a whole, there's no dispute there because we know that if you're born a woman and you compete with men, then you belong in the competition. If you're wiping these naturally born men out, then there's not anybody that's going to really dispute that. It's only on the other side where you're naturally born a male competing with women who just physically don't have the same capabilities.
So you're saying that if so wait, are you saying it's okay for transgender men to compete with men?
No, so if you're born a woman and you transition into a male and
Yeah.
you complete, so if I decide today that I'm going to transition into a male and I decide to go play football with you, that's on me, right? And if I'm able to keep up with you guys and still play football with you, nobody's going to dispute that. The dispute comes in because we know that there is an advantage when you're born a male. You're just naturally stronger, skilled. It there's no it's not equal.
But we don't want somebody to get hurt though. Right? Like so if a woman comes, a transgender woman come, excuse me, a transgender man comes and starts to try to contend with men, the fallout's still the same, right? Like you still
If
can't
they're
quite.
So in the case that I'm talking about, they were able to compete and continue and did well. They've excelled. They were making, they won a bunch of competitions or track meets or whatever it was. So there's no
Mm,
dispute. There's no dispute there. The dispute only comes in when you know that there's a physical advantage.
mm. I need to look that up because I don't. Was it this? Well, I
It
ain't
was
gonna
like
go to
on
what.
ESPN one morning, like at whatever. But it was a story about this transgender girl that transitioned, and she ran track
Hmm.
and she excelled. But I mean, there's not really nobody's really going to have any disputes about that because she's earned her spot, or he earned his spot.
Okay, Sean, what you think?
Um, my biggest problem, especially with the swimmer person, is that they actually competed in the men's ranks and were ranked like 460 amongst the men,
Yeah, four
and
sixty
then
two, I think.
462, and then decided to switch sides. Like one, that's foul, right? Like you tried your shot and you couldn't cut it, and then now you trying to use your unfair advantage with masculinity or testosterone, whatever, to compete against women. I think it's wrong in general. I think it's flagrant. I think it isn't safe. It isn't fair by any kind of sports guidelines or rules of competition. Like if you have unfair advantages, you shouldn't be allowed to compete, and that's in regular sports. That's with performance enhancing drugs. If I take something to make me better physically, unnatural, and I can't compete, there I'm fine. I'm suspended. I'm cut. Whatever. That same thing should apply across sports.
Right.
So if my little girl is wrestling, I have a little girl that wrestles, and she gets into a competition in high school, and a boy decides he's 165 pounds, he want to change sides and wrestle against her with all the natural testosterone and all of that. That's unfair. Why do we have sports in that case? Why
Well,
even
Yeah.
have the sport?
when you
Okay.
mentioned testosterone, there was also the woman that was natural born woman that was disqualified just because her testosterone levels were higher than her competitors, and she was excelling in her sport. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, it was
Well,
for the
a
Olympics.
lot
She
of
was
times,
disqualified.
a lot of times with Olympic sports or collegiate sports or professional sports or competitions, some women will take estrogen blockers to increase their testosterone. So you
Right.
have a natural testosterone level, and if a woman is competing and it exceeds that, then that is deemed unfair competition, and you can't compete.
Right. So, but the thing is
They're
that you,
allowing man
right.
to compete with women who already has a natural testosterone baseline
Yeah.
way higher than a woman.
Right. So it
Okay.
has to be fair across the board. You can't exclude natural born women and say, well, no, you're just a little too masculine, or you have natural testosterone that exceeds what we're going to allow, and exclude them. But when you know that these are naturally born men that are born with advantages, allow them to compete. It has to
Yeah,
be. That's not fair.
that's bullshit.
Yeah,
That's bullshit.
Christy, what you think?
I don't even think it's controversial. I feel like obviously this is not fair. Like my man said, this wasn't just any old guy. This was a guy who had a scholarship to a D1 school who competed. So he was amongst all men in general a more dominant swimmer. That's the thing. So he's then doing 3 years on the men's team. He takes whatever he needs to take that's a part of his transitioning process. And now he's on the women's team, and we're supposed to let it's be like, okay, that's fine. Absolutely not. And I don't think that anybody would say that it is. I don't know what the answer is to make it fair, or if it's just a matter of saying, sir, if you want to compete, you have to continue to compete in the men's sports, or you can just delay I'm like, he did this as a senior. Why not just delay the process one more year, graduate, and then do your transition phase? I don't know what it feels like to be in that position, to feel like, hey, you know what, I'm somebody else on the inside. But it seems like something that could have possibly just waited.
So you're saying with his transition, but he wouldn't have had an advantage. Like maybe was the so do you think that the transition was partly because he could take advantage of it with the swimming?
He probably felt like, he's probably felt like he was a woman on the inside for a while. I don't think that's something that people take lightly or just wake up one day and be like, you know what? Could be a woman today. I don't think anybody does that. I think it's something to think about for a long time. The timing of it is questionable, especially seeing as how she did compete on the men's team for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Why now?
Yeah. B, what you think?
So, wow. Well, so the issue that we run across is, so first off, no, I don't feel like that should be allowed. My reasoning behind that is because at the end of the day, if you were born a man, but you all right? If you were born a man, but you transfer over into a woman, or you are a woman and you transfer over into a man, the issue is you still have certain chemicals in your body that makes up what you were born as. So I'm a man, but if I get the surgery and I become a woman, there's still certain chemicals, certain chromosomes in me that will never go away. So I believe that the advantage will be heightened because although I'm not a woman, I was born a man. There's certain chromosomes, certain things within me that will just never go away. So I believe that I'm not a fan of it, especially certain categories. You're talking about putting transgender man or woman, whatever. I don't know this. I don't care what this stuff. But if you talk about putting a man who was born a man, who's now a woman competing against a woman, I would always say that's an unfair advantage because again, there's certain testosterone, certain chromosomes, certain chemical makeup within a man that will never get rid of, that he will never get rid of, although he may transition over into a woman. So I think that the competition won't be as fair. So I'm not a fan of it. Now if we talk about running or something like that, whatever. But you talking about boxing or fighting, or MMA or whatever it is, I don't watch that stuff. It's too violent for me. I feel like, he would have that advantage because of what he was born.
What's the difference with running?
I mean,
No, the fastest male runners are much faster than the fastest.
Oh well. Oh, so okay. All right. Cool. All right. Cool.
Because running would be comparable to swimming, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because of your stamina. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Cool. But yeah, I just wouldn't agree with that. I would have an issue with that. Yeah.
So you made a point to say physical sports, right? Combat sports, no. You saying non-combat, maybe? Like, what's your answer?
I mean,
Like tennis.
yeah.
Do you think like Serena should compete against men?
Yeah. I'm gonna answer for you, B. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, Phoenix.
Yeah.
Serena.
No, the answer is no. Slim. The answer is no.
You can't try to piggyback off of Sean's answer.
Yeah. Well, he gave me permission, so damn not. At the end of the day, there's just I mean I don't agree with it. And it's funny because when I heard about the topic, I was like, no, I just didn't agree with it, just because what has to be realized is, just so all the trans men know this, if you are a man born into a woman, that makes you a trans woman. I guess I don't know. I don't keep up with that with the verb. I'm a boy. But you a boy. If you're a man and you turn into a woman, you're still a boy. If you're a woman and you turn into a man, you're still a woman. There's certain y'all, if y'all took science, y'all would know that there's certain chromosomes in the body and the chemical makeup that it never goes away.
Biology.
Yeah.
Hey, what is your answer? So if it's a violent sport, physical combat,
they
football,
should not be competing.
Okay, now what if it's tennis?
They should
golf,
not be competing.
Track.
They should not be competing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You good? You sure?
I'm positive.
All right. Isha, what you feel?
I agree with everybody else. And in the case of the swimmer, did you see the picture where they lined up the winners? Mm-hmm. And you can visually see that this woman is still shaped like a man, and the women next to her are really smaller than she is. And the fact that she's trained with men put her at an advantage as well. So I don't think it's appropriate for transgender men to be competing with women, natural born women.
So you agree with calling people by their pronouns, though?
Absolutely.
Like whatever they want to be called at.
No.
What?
No. Child, listen, you let me come across. Oh, I got a story to share with y'all. So I got a friend, right? No, I'm gonna keep this short. I promise.
Damn right.
I'm gonna keep this short, okay? I got a friend, and her cousin used to be a man. So I slipped up one day and I called her a him. Motherfucker, you's a him. You ain't a her, you's a him. What were you born with? You was born with him parts, right? Okay, you's a him. Listen, I ain't got no filter, okay? If it comes to my head, it's gonna come out my mouth. I ain't got time to walk around on eggshells for your feelings because you decided one day you want to transition over to the other side. Now, God damn it, at the end of the day, you was born a man. You still got man chromosomes in you. Damn it, you a man. You's a man.
But B, what do you?
A man has a right to change his name to whatever he wants to change it to. Right. And if a man wants to be called a woman, this is a free country. I'm gonna respect her wishes and call the woman a woman.
Well, if I decide to call him a man, what he gonna do? Step?
He might.
Yeah, he's gonna be a bad nigga.
I think that is rude. It's just rude.
It's just rude. If someone makes it known what they want to be acknowledged by, that's one thing. Like similar scenario, I was checking into a hotel at Mohegan Sun, and there was a transgender woman that was there. So, but like she still kind of had the 5 o'clock shadow. She was probably just like in her beginning stages. But I'm like, you almost go to say and I'm like, you know what? Your earrings are amazing. You know, you have to switch. Or if you're not sure what to say, then don't say anything.
Or ask.
Now I did see.
We out.